In the new era of the transfer portal in college football, there are always going to be certain players that absolutely shock us when they decide to enter their names into the portal. And that is exactly what happened in 2023. Quinshon Judkins shook up the college football world when he left Ole Miss and decided to commit to Ohio State. There were a lot of questions that arose, but one thing has stayed true. Judkins is a bad man. An incredibly talented running back prospect who has been very productive everywhere he's been. How high could we hear Judkins' name called in the 2025 NFL Draft? That is what we will be going over in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page. For $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my draft guide, big board, and prospect interviews. It is some of my best work, and if you guys want to get ahead on NFL Draft content, I highly recommend checking it out. Leave a comment and let me know which players you guys would be interested in seeing in the next video, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Quinshon Judkins. Judkins burst onto the scene as a true freshman at Ole Miss, and he instantly was on the radars for many in the NFL Draft community. His sophomore season was incredible for Ole Miss. He finished the season with 1,159 yards and 15 touchdowns on the ground. He was absolutely phenomenal and shocked the world when he entered the portal. There were many questions on how the Buckeyes would use Judkins, considering they already had TreVeyon Henderson returning to the team. And early on in the season, we have seen some elite production from Judkins. In 3 games, he already has produced. He has 36 carries for 336 yards and 5 touchdowns. He is a big play machine and has been incredible for Ohio State, and many people are calling him the early RB1. The first thing that really sticks out with Judkins is his absolutely fantastic long speed. When he hits the hole, he is one of the most dynamic runners in all of college football. He displays awesome patience at the line of scrimmage, and when he does find the lane, he has a dynamic jump cut and is able to turn it into a massive play. Judkins has 81 carries of 10 or more yards in his career at Ole Miss, and he's had some massive plays early in the year for the Buckeyes. He is incredibly explosive in the open field. Judkins also has the perfect size for a star running back. He is 6 foot even, 219 pounds, and he has the perfect blend of size and speed as a runner. I typically prefer bigger running backs because they play with a little bit more power in their game, and Judkins has that. Judkins displays incredible contact balance as a runner. He is very difficult to tackle. Whether it be a juke in the backfield, his stiff arm, or just his ability to power over defenders, he is one of the most difficult players to tackle in the country. He averages an extra 3.3 yards after contact throughout his career, and he's one of the most dynamic runners I have ever studied. The last thing Judkins does so well is something Ohio State really hasn't even tapped into yet, and that's his receiving abilities. He has great hands in the receiving game, and he shows the ability to run routes out of the backfield. In his Ole Miss career, he had 37 receptions for 281 yards. His hands are incredibly strong as well, as he's only dropped the ball twice, and he's a really solid and underrated receiving back. Judkins is one of the most well-rounded running back prospects I have ever seen. There are practically no weaknesses in his game as a runner. Yes, you might want to see him produce a little bit more as a receiver at Ohio State, but other than that, there's not much left to be desired with Quinshon Judkins. One thing he does need to improve is his pass protection. He doesn't have a very strong base, and he was just bullied when he was in as a blocker, and I think that needs to improve. Quinshon Judkins is a borderline generational running back prospect. He has the size, he has the vision, he has the long speed, he can catch balls out of the backfield, and he is absolutely amazing. I remember watching Jonathan Mingo when he was coming out of Ole Miss, when Judkins was a true freshman, and I was completely blown away, and he continues to impress me every single week. That being said, this running back class is absolutely stacked, and he is very narrowly my number 2 running back. Quinshon Judkins and Ashton Jeanty are so close to one another, but I prefer Jeanty as a receiving back, and I think Jeanty is a little bit better as a blocker. That being said, Quinshon Judkins is still a top 15 player in the draft class for me. I think Judkins is a very scheme-versatile prospect, and he can play just about anywhere at the NFL level. He can play in a heavy zone rushing scheme. He can play in a power scheme. He can play in a very gap-disciplined scheme. And he can play in an air raid offense as well because of his ability as a receiving back. And I think that is something that makes him so intriguing as a prospect. In terms of a player comparison, Judkins reminds me a lot of Bijan Robinson. Both of them have near identical size, they have excellent long speed, can catch balls out of the backfield, and both are very patient runners with great vision. I think that Judkins has that type of upside at the NFL level, and while Bijan is a better blocker, I think as a pure runner, Judkins and Robinson have so many similarities, so that's my comparison for him. Quinshon Judkins is a big play machine. He has some unbelievable speed and patience as a runner, and we still have yet to see the Buckeyes really tap into his receiving upside. He is going to be an awesome player, and I believe that Quinshon Judkins will be a first-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.